You're on CYInterview.
I'm Christian. Next featured columnist Jay Billstein is with me today on CYInterview. We welcome back filmmaker and actress and running enthusiast Liz Vassey. Her important and inspiring documentary, The Human Race, continues to get recognition. And we're going to talk to her also today about why running could be something great to pick up for the new year. Liz, thanks for being back with us on CYInterview. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing really well, thank you. Actually, every time anybody asks me that, I'm doing well under the circumstances. We're living in crazy times, but
we all are.
Happy that we're in 2021. I'll put it that way.
Well, to begin, at the moment, people can watch The Human Race on Amazon Prime Video and a variety of other platforms. Recently, the documentary film got some recognition from the Wired Runner. Tell me about the continued recognition and response you're getting from your documentary.
Thanks for asking. It sort of started when the pandemic started. People obviously started watching a lot of streaming at home, and this kind of coincided with Runner's World picked us as one of the top 20 running documentaries of all time, which was incredibly flattering. And so people started turning to it again. I mean, it was released at the beginning of 2019, but we've definitely seen a lot more people turning to it lately. And I think it's twofold. I think, one, people are trapped at home watching things, and this is something to watch that's getting good reviews, thankfully. But on a larger level, I think it brings joy, and I think it brings hope, and I think that the whole world's hungry for that right now, right? And I think it is helping, and that pleases me no end because I'm happy to participate in anything that's helping to sort of lighten things up a little bit for people and give them some hope for the future.
Oh, no denying that, Jay.
Good to have you back, Liz. I watch a lot of documentaries, and I tried to read a good deal, and the two most important documentaries that I've seen in the last, and maybe the two most important documentaries I've seen this millennium, maybe since 2000, is The Human Race and Forks Over Knives. And I think they make a wonderful pairing because, of course, Forks Over Knives deals with how we eat, or how as a country we're on the SAD, Standard American Diet. Mm-hmm. And The Human Race deals with the other component of good health, which is the need for exercise. And what I found so incredible about The Human Race is it was not a documentary that is preachy. It is a documentary that is inspirational in its nature by seeing people from all walks of life, some with disabilities, what have you, or they've been through illness. And it really, really drives the point home while being eminently entertaining. That being said, is there a Human Race 2 coming up? Is there The Human Race 2 inside with COVID-19 on a treadmill where everybody is, doing their running at home? What's coming up next from you in this vein?
In this vein, I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about possibly doing a part 2. People are contacting me about it, and it seems like people would like to, A, be in it, and B, help me make it. Which is great, because the first one I made, that was just a leap of faith, and it was a passion project, and, it was a merry band of maybe 4 of us that went around and did all of this, and I did all the production work, I was my own production office, basically, and I had to learn how to send all the deliverables to the people that were distributing the film, and so it would be great to have a much larger team, and it sounds like I could assemble that. I have some other projects that have nothing to do with running coming up that I'm spending my time on right now, but it's definitely in the realm of possibility. It could happen, and like I said, I'm getting contacted mostly by runners who really want to be seen, and that's what got me in the first one, is that I didn't have to look for these people. I didn't have to look for these runners over the age of 50. They contacted me because they wanted people to see that it was possible, and I love that you said it wasn't preachy, because that was a big goal for me. I wanted to make sure that it was funny and it had heart. I think if you want to reach people, nobody really wants to be preached at, but if they can see an example of how they can be, and they can see it with humor and heart, then I think you're far more likely to make your message land.
Well, you know, you're a very articulate person, and also you're very dynamic, and it's interesting to be able to speak to you as a person who created the documentary and see the documentary, because somehow in speaking with you, I just nod my head and say that makes sense. Like, I get how it would come out that way. With that said, I can tell you this without any exaggeration. 25 years ago, was it 25? No, it's actually 26. It was for New Year's 1995. I made a New Year's resolution, which amazingly I've kept to this day, and that was to never make a New Year's resolution again, and I've been very, very good at it.
Yeah.
I believe people change when they want to change.
Yes.
I believe we live our lives either by design or default. Unfortunately, I know a lot of people who've made changes by default, right? The person who smoked like a chimney, who had a heart attack and the next day was no longer a smoker.
Right.
I don't think it should come to that. Is there anything you could say to people, not in terms of a New Year's resolution, but in terms of perhaps living their lives by design, about the importance for exercise in everyday life and how they might break into that?
One of my favorite things in the doc, I love Coach Debbie in Florida, and I love it because she's saying, you know, people expect that as a running coach that I would be sort of like a drill sergeant going, do another lap, come back, I don't care if you're hurting, no pain, no gain. And she said no pain, no gain is actually her least favorite saying, because if you have any pain signals in your body, stop running. And she said, you know, what I say is your ankle hurting? Oh, stop. Make yourself, get that, ice that thing up. And when you feel better, come back. And when they come in for their first session with her, she basically says, run to the end of the block. Are you tired? And if they say yes, then she goes, okay, we'll run a little further tomorrow. And it's very easy. And her whole goal is not to make it sort of, not to make it drudgery, first of all, but also just to listen to your own body and do what you can at the time. And I know, speaking for my sister, who was vehemently anti-exercise most of her life, she watched this documentary, and it'll forever be my very favorite thing this documentary did. It started her on a walking program because she thought, okay, I'm looking at somebody decades older than I am who's running a 100-mile race. I can get up and walk. And slowly but surely, she now walks more quickly than I do. And she's great. She's gotten in incredible shape, and it started from just going around the block, then around 2 blocks, and now she walks 3.5 miles almost every day. And I'm so happy, and it was partially because the people in this doc, they don't force it on you in a way that you should be out there running a marathon right away, or maybe never run a marathon. Just do what you can, because anything's better than nothing. And as far as, I don't make any New Year's resolutions either. I think if it's, June 6th and I want to change something about myself, I'll try and change something about myself. I think the interesting thing about 2021, we're knee-deep in a global pandemic. I think a lot of people are having mental health issues right now that are completely understandable, and I think even aside from the physical benefits of running, there's so many mental benefits that I think getting out and moving, even if it's not running, even if it's just climbing the stairs for a little bit or taking a brisk walk, I think it helps combat stress, depression, anxiety. It helps with cognitive decline for the long term. It helps you sleep more. If you're going outside, you'll get a boost of vitamin D. There's so many things that it can do for your head. And I think that's of vital importance right now because of everything we're dealing with. I mean, there's sort of a collective stress that we're all dealing with every single day. And so if you can give yourself 20 minutes, a half hour, an hour, whatever you want to do, I think it couldn't be more helpful, particularly now.
It's so interesting what you say. A very good friend of ours here at CYInterview is neuroscientist Dr. Kristen Willemeyer, who on December 29th just came out with a book called Biohack Your Brain. And, you talked about brain health in what you just said, right? It could stave off a delay dementia and all. It's so interesting. She is a runner, and she has not stopped running through the pandemic. She's continued to run through the pandemic and all. Let me ask you, has your training changed in any way during the pandemic? Are you doing more? Are you doing less? Do you have to be more careful to stay away from people? How are you handling your running and exercise routine during COVID?
Well, a lot of it depends where you live. I mean, I'm not near a lot of people up where I live. I'm in Los Angeles, but I'm sort of away from it all. And I also live near a reservoir, so I can go running around the reservoir. And I think if anything's changed, I'm doing a little more in the gym. I'm doing a little more of the stationary bike to go along with the running, just so I can be inside and not out there. Like, if it's a sunny day, more people are there running, and I try not to be around large crowds of people, and I feel a little safer doing it indoors. That said, I'm also hiking more than I used to, just because my husband and I are trying to get out and go. We can't go anywhere. We're not traveling anywhere. So it's nice to at least go see the world, but we're very careful about wearing a mask and staying away from people. And but nothing's really changed. I'm certainly not doing it more or less than I used to. I'm not happy unless I break a sweat every day in some way. So I still am doing that. I mean, every day, whether it's biking, hiking, running, I will break a sweat, or I just am not myself. I need to do it in the morning too. It's sort of my it's like cognitive coffee for me. It just jump starts my brain. So nothing has changed so much. I'm just, if I'm outside, I'm much more aware than I ever used to be of other people. But I suppose that's changed for most. But other than that, no, I'm still sticking with it, and because I think it's helped. I think it's certainly helped keep my mood stable. You know.
CognitiveCoffee.com. It already sounds like CognitiveCoffee.com. You know, as you were talking, you talk about breaking a sweat. I've got to do more than break a sweat these days, because I break a sweat just turning on the news. So I've actually turned it on and say, wow, we're living in a really loony world, aren't we? Out your way, have people been responsible citizens? The people you've seen, I'm not asking you to speak for all of L.A. County and the city of Angels, but most folks you've seen out, are they wearing masks? Are they social distancing? Or is it some of the lunacy I've seen going on in other places?
Where I am, it's mostly been sane. I notice a lot of mask wearing. I mean, first of all, Los Angeles, we're not doing so hot. So most people understand that, and they put a mask on. When I have to drive somewhere, or even on these hikes, or anytime I'm out of the house, I've noticed, I would say probably 90% of the people that I see. I'm in a very particular area, though, and there are a lot of large swaths of California who don't really believe that this is anything to worry about. And, there are people leading Christmas carol rallies with hundreds and hundreds of people showing up to sing Christmas carols without masks on. It's lunacy to me. I don't understand it. But in my general area, people are being extremely safe. I haven't seen my neighbors without a mask on for 10 months. I mean, we're very close with our neighbors. Every time we see them, we all have masks on. People that walk by our house always have masks on. I'm looking outside right now. Well, there's a man wearing sort of a chin diaper. He has it around his chin, but I'm sure he'd pull it up if anybody passed him. It's relatively sane in my area.
You were one of the favorite people to me we've ever had on CYInterview, but I am going to have to correct you. I hate to correct people, especially people I like, but it's not lunacy to you. It's just lunacy. You don't need the to you part. There, as we were talking before we started, people are entitled to their own opinion. They're not entitled to their own facts. Masks, social distancing, avoiding crowds, washing hands assiduously and frequently. That's what the science tells us. And by the way, it's the same science which has brought us to an unprecedented point where in 10 months we actually have a vaccine that's hopefully going to help bring us out of this pandemic. If we could take a quick turn, because you spoke about other things you're doing and other projects you're working on and so forth. Anything you can share? Anything you care to share?
I can't share any details, but I have a documentary series that I am developing with a producer that I couldn't love more. It's somebody who's on television now, and she's fantastic, and we just attached a comedian that I love to be the host. So I've been working on that, and it's I'm really excited. I actually have a development meeting with them next week, and I thought this is just going to be it's a Zoom meeting, but it's going to be so exciting to be working with these two women because it's a topic I care about very deeply, and it's also just these two women are sort of feminist icons to me. So I'm thrilled about that. I also was asked to write a screenplay. A company that I've been working with a little bit asked me to write a screenplay, and it has turned out well. And so we've attached a director, and it's right now sitting with the actor who is our first choice for the lead. And we have to have an answer from him by January 6th. And if not, there's another actor who's interested in doing it. And so I'm excited about that. It would shoot out of the country, but not until post-vaccine. So we'd be okay. But that's been going beautifully. I'm developing a TV show, and I've attached an actress to play the lead in that. So I've been keeping extremely busy, which is a great thing because our industry basically just screeched to a halt for a long time. And even when it started to come back, it was just baby steps because even things that were in development right before everything shut down, they had to come back to those first, so buying new things was sort of out of the question. So it's just been a very strange time for the entertainment industry. But it's been a strange time for everybody, but speaking as smack dab in the middle of the entertainment industry, married to somebody who's also in the industry, it's been really odd, and they're taking all the precautions that they can and trying to start back up when they can. So we'll see. I mean, I feel like for me, 2020, I was working on all of these projects, and I'm basically lining them up for when my industry starts back up again. Yeah.
You are an incredibly accomplished actor, and you certainly have been in, my God, I mean, so many shows and so forth that we'd have to take an hour just to name everything, and we'd have to take a couple of weeks to discuss it all. I'm curious, you ever watch yourself? You know, series comes up that you've been in, you ever say, oh, I remember, I'm going to sit down and watch me. You ever do that, or are you one of these people who says, I don't want to watch that. I don't like seeing myself. Do you have do you have a position on that when it comes to watching your own work?
I've never minded watching myself, but it's only because I'm so fascinated by all the other aspects of this industry that, I could watch dailies, which is pretty much, just for people that don't know, it's everything you shoot during the day before anything is edited. So you're just watching take after take of maybe your close-up or a two-shot with somebody else. No music, no editing, no color correction. And I've actually been okay with that because I know so many things go into making it a good TV show that, you suck at take one, maybe they'll pick something from take three, but I'm fascinated by, there's a boom shadow here, so they're not going to be able to use that take. The sound's a little weird here. I shouldn't put something down in the middle of while I'm speaking. So I'm able to watch it more from a technical standpoint, and I don't get all that caught up. Plus, I started working when I was a fetus, so I kind of got over seeing myself and cringing about it a long time ago. It's not that I watch and go, oh my God, I'm fantastic. I just kind of watch myself. I just watch and go, that's an interesting take. That angle is really interesting. I think I might do that the next thing I direct. I could do something with that. So it truly is just a little more from a technical standpoint. But my husband enjoys watching some of my older work from when I started out because he's just surprised, and he's also surprised by what I don't even remember doing. There are episodes of All My Children that I did when I was 17, and I'll show him a scene, and I'll say, what were you even thinking when you did that? I have no idea. It's just erased from my hard drive. I don't even remember the experience. It was a long time ago, and it's, you do enough of this, and some of it starts to blend, and but he gets a kick out of seeing some of the older stuff.
Well, God bless you, because, you're saying, hey, yeah, sometimes I watch my stuff because I'm learning as a director and so forth, and this is my craft. Hey, okay, this is what's taking place. Unfortunately, when I listen to myself at times, afterwards I smack my head into a wall a few times, and the blood creates such a mess, and now you can't get out to a pharmacy quick enough, and I need gauze, and you bleed all over the place, and who wants to go to an emergency room?
It's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing indeed. But it's always a pleasure to have you here. The documentary is of the human race, and for our CYInterview listeners and readers who haven't seen it, they must see it. And if you want to see Liz Vassey and her unbelievable amount of work. You say you started. You did. Did you say All My Children at 17?
Yeah, because on All My Children when I was 16 is when I started.
16, and so you've done a lot in the last 9 years. So now at 25, I'm looking at your IMDb saying, how did she fit all of this in there?
Non-stop, right?
Non-stop. Some really incredible stuff, but always great to have you on. Chris?
So for actress and filmmaker Liz Vassey, featured columnist Jay Belstein, and CY Interview, I'm Christian.